the glamorous ball. My family turned out to be my greatest enemies. My sister publicly exposed me, trying to use me as her substitute, even forcing me into a life or death battle. Chapter 31. Battle Royale. I am sorry, Your Highness. Please do not be mad at Councilman Reynolds. It was my selfishness to be here tonight. But please believe me, I did not mean any disrespect. I can leave at this moment if you wish for me to do so. Yvonne quickly apologized. Her blue eyes filled with worry. To show her sincerity, she was even about to rise on her feet and truly leave, it seemed. Normally, seeing such a beautiful lady flustered because of him, any man would react and tell the lady not to leave. Normally, but unfortunately Solas was not any man. He was not gentle at all with women. Celia had expected him to help the lady and prevent her from leaving, but he did not say anything, even though he had been nothing but courteous to her so far. To Lady Yvonne he had not spared a single glance. It made a seed of doubt sprout in her mind about his intentions to her. Lady Yvonne, there is no need for you to leave. If I say you are my date tonight. Right, Your Highness, intervened Councilman Reynolds. He was satisfied that Solas was finally showing interest in someone, but he still had to make sure that the king truly liked Celia and had romantic intentions towards her. As such, he could not let go just yet of Lady Yvonne. The lady had done nothing wrong so far and she should be given a chance to. She was also the prime candidate he had chosen from many others, and an heir born from her would be as strong as one born from Celia. So he prevented her from leaving. Not to mention, she could be used to test Celia's feelings towards the king. The feelings of Lady Yvonne could be seen clearly, but Celia's face was unfortunately as expressionless as the king's. Solas showed some indication through his actions somewhat, but he could not tell from her so far. Solas did not say anything about what Councilman Reynolds said, so Lady Yvonne ended up remaining at the same table as them. For the first part of the night, Celia had greeted and was introduced to many strong alphas. By being at the king's table, she was also included in conversation each time someone came to greet the king. Her position as an alpha of a pack of watchers made the alphas respectful towards her. She would be one who, one day, could possibly pay a visit to their pack. By establishing some friendly relations now, if there were some problems and investigations later, perhaps she could lighten their sentences, or at least judge fairly. She was also respected because she came arm in arm with the king, and the king was known to respect strength. Although some might have suspected a deeper connection between the two, most were in fact sure she came as partner because she was the first female watcher. It was not that they thought she did not suit him. Quite the contrary. Most alpha and lunar pairs at the ball thought they were a perfect match. They made a beautiful picture together. The problem was the king. He was already 100 years old and he had never had a lover before. Perhaps they were accustomed to him being by himself. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I believe your parents should also be here tonight. Do you want to go meet them? Solas asked near her ear. When there was a moment of peace, she flinched at the mention of her parents. She knew she had to meet them, but she did not want to see them yet. She had thought she would go briefly to their dormitory, but only to reject Ray and quickly leave. Thankfully, she did not see them for the first part of the night, because for one they were seated at quite a distance away. For two, by using her werewolf sight she could spot them if she tried to, but she did not want to. Meeting them in the presence of the king meant that she had to act civilized to them and actually treat them as her parents. She was not one to wash dirty laundry in public, so she would have to act courteous towards them. By doing this, would they take advantage of her again? Would they use her to get closer to His Highness? Before she would have said no, but now she knew better. Fortunately, it seemed they still had the decency to at least respect the king. They had attended previous balls before and knew of the royal protocols. One of the protocols being that they could not come to the king's table uninvited. Only strong alphas that had been leading packs for a long time and had a previous connection to the king could come near the table without the king giving them express permission to do so. Her parents were beaters, so they had even less right to come. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. It was another matter. If they claimed they came to meet their daughter. No, I do not want to meet them right now, Your Highness. Thank you for asking. I will do so in a private setting later on. Celia replied grateful. Solos nodded and did not insist on it. He did not know how the relationship between Celia and her family was, but he could see in her eyes that she truly did not wish to meet her parents. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. If you change your mind, let me know, Solos briefly said, then resumed talking with another alpha. It had not been long after his question, when an uninvited person that did not seem to know of the royal protocols still came. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. A high cutesy voice called from a distance, making Celia frown. She should have known that. Although her parents were still mindful of the place, there was someone who was not. She looked towards the direction of the voice to answer. She knew that even if she had ignored Brianna, the latter would still come towards the table. And just as she expected, she did not even answer, when her younger sister was already close. She also made it seem like only now she had spotted Celia and thus came near, conveniently forgetting the protocols. I am sorry. Please forgive me for intruding. I was so happy to see my sister that I forgot what time and place this was. Your Highness, I am Brianna Blair, the Luna of New Moon Peck and the younger sister of Celia. With red cheeks, seemingly flustered, Brianna quickly greeted politely. Even Celia would have been proud of the wonderful greeting her little sister gave, if she had not known what Brianna was capable of. But now, Celia could only see a woman, not a little girl that was growing up. No, a woman who knew exactly what she wanted. In a few words, she managed to introduce herself to the king innocently and coincidentally, to inform everyone around that she was a Watcher's sister and at the same time that she, Brianna, was also the Luna of a Peck. Solos looked towards Celia and then to the person in front of their table. The petite blonde person had her body bent in a reverence. He did not say a word to her and only gestured for her to rise. Brianna did not wait a moment longer, having gained permission and, proud of herself, approached even more the table. She waited for a few seconds, thinking that His Highness would speak to her, but he did not say a word, nor did anyone else at the table. For that matter, Celia even less, thought to say something. She was thinking that if Brianna had the audacity to play a game of sisterly love, then she should play it by herself. Having all the eyes of the high-ranking wolves on her, she felt intimidated and quickly spoke again. Sister, I have missed you dearly. I did not know you would participate at this ball. Were you trying to surprise me? I was truly surprised. Really, you have not called home in so many months. We were so very worried about you. Since you came to the academy until now, why haven't you contacted us? Brianna stopped for half a second, like she was joking because she was feeling over-emotional. Then she continued, I know that all that mattered to you always was to fulfill your dreams, even leaving before my lunar ceremony. But you should still contact us sometimes in your free time. Brianna stated aggrieved, with eyes filled with tears that were threatening to fall. Just like always, Brianna was determined to gain the upper hand. If she posed herself as a victim first, then no matter what Celia said, it would only seem tacky. It would make everyone around her think that she was trying to make excuses. Brianna was also trying to let everyone know that her sister was not at all the kind of person she appeared to be, having kept her participation a secret from her family. Celia was still listening expressionless, but, inside her mind, she thought that in the time she did not see Brianna, it seemed her acting rose up a notch. Well, either way, she did not mind or get upset because of Brianna's ramblings. Celia slightly coldly smiled with no affection on her face and was about to answer her sister. But Gabriel cut her words and spoke first. Were you very worried about your sister? he asked, surprised. He was head teacher and was, along with her pack members, present every day at the academy with Celia. He had never seen her receive any phone calls from her overly worried family. One could say that, because Gabriel was with the students most of the times during classes, he did not know if she received phone calls during breaks. But Celia had been hurt and was in a coma for many days. If he included the exercise time in the count, then her family had not called her for more than 3 weeks. If one was truly worried about a person, then he or she would call first. He had also heard a bit from Jake, when he pondered on whether to let her family know of the injuries, that Celia had a strained relationship with her family. Jake had not said it in so many words, as Celia had not said anything bad about her family, but something was strange for sure. Jake told him that she had ended her vacation on the same day she went home, even though she was previously very enthusiastic about returning to her pack territory. So one could draw their conclusion from that. And if those 2 reasons were not sufficient, then the reason Gabriel gave Brianna next was sufficient enough, as he continued speaking, not letting her answer the first question. Since the time she left home and until now, did your worry for your sister lessened or heightened in particular? Gabriel asked cryptically. Brianna frowned at the unknown man's intervention, but she knew that at the king's table there were only important officials and so could not ask him why he intervened. She could only carry on her act. Of course we were worried every day we did not hear from her. How could we worry more on a particular day or worry less? We are her family. Since the moment she left her home we were worried. It is just that we did not know when we could contact her, so we asked her to call us whenever she could, but she never did. Still, she must be learning a lot at the academy, so we cannot blame her. Brianna replied, smiling. She figured that was what the man was trying to reason with her, the fact that they did not call themselves. So she said it first. Really now? Quite commendable of you to be so understanding, Gabriel said, also smiling like her. Still, one would think that, as a Luna and a high-ranking werewolf, you must have felt the bond with your older sister slightly disturbed when the latter was attacked and hospitalized. So knowing for certain that in that period of time she would not be studying, and Celia could manage to answer your calls, as there was no need to worry about disturbing her classes, considering she was not participating in any, you still waited patiently for her to contact you on her own. I mean, she could call in her unconscious state if she tried a bit more after all. You are a real loving sister. Truly, quite commendable of you, Gabriel said sarcastically, still smiling. Maria sighed at her mate's intervention. The man could not sit still when dealing with sneaky-to-faced people. Well, he really had a point, so she really applauded him inside her mind. As for the others at the table, of course they would not dare comment in the presence of the king. Brianna froze, not knowing what to reply. Her sister was hurt, but they, as her family, did not feel it. The bond had been weakened between them because of what happened at the lunar ceremony, so none of them felt it when she was attacked. The only one who was still close to Celia, Daniel, had not shifted yet, so could not feel the bond. Her answer of worrying equally each day was a wrong step. She should not have said that. At this time, Salas did not speak at all and Celia was still looking expressionless as always, like the discussion was not about her. Feeling suffocated on what to say next, Brianna felt agitated and it made her belly hurt a bit. This helped her clear her mind. My sister was hurt, she asked worriedly, placing her hand on her protruding belly. She also bent a little to show she was in pain. Celia sighed. She did not know if her sister was truly hurting or not, but it was never her intention to hurt a child. She closed her eyes and opened them again, and finally spoke. Your Highness, my sister is not feeling well. Can I go and help her to the bathroom and check up on her? Celia asked Solas respectfully. Yes, of course. Go and look after her, Solas said gently to her. But no worry on his face about the other person could be seen. He had not looked in Brianna's direction since he permitted her to raise her head. Having said this, he quickly rose on his feet and pulled her chair away to help her up. Celia thanked him and excused herself from the table, walking in her sister's direction. She lightly took her hand and really walked her to the bathroom. They did not say a word as they walked. Celia was too disgusted with Brianna to actually talk to her. So after arriving at the bathroom, she only instructed a passing maid to inform Diane to come and help Brianna, then quickly left. Brianna also did not say a word. She did not even look behind her when Celia walked away. She was frustrated that nothing went as she had envisioned. It seemed that she would have to use the other method. Opening the door of the ballroom, Celia came face to face with Yvonne. She apologized and slightly bowed, making way for the latter and giving her priority to pass through the door. Yvonne passed and did not even say a word of thank you, walking confidently ahead. Celia was not one to mind such things, so she did not bother and was about to go inside the ballroom. "Do you know of the event called Battle Royale, Miss Alpha?" asked Yvonne, with a high, screechy voice. It was a voice totally different from when she spoke to His Highness. It was a type of voice Celia recognized hearing once before, some moments ago. Indeed, her sister had the same change in the tonality of her voice. She changed so fast from sweet to bitter in a matter of moments depending on who she was speaking to, or depending on whether she needed something or not. It was a character trait she had found cute when her sister used it when she was young, but nowadays it annoyed her quite a lot, as it made her seem like she was a person one could easily mock. "Yes, I do," Celia replied, as she turned around looking at Yvonne. The unwavering look from Celia's eyes and the tinny street bit of aura she sensed from her made Yvonne flinch a bit, although unapateable. But she still did not back down. She had done a lot to become someone worthy to be the queen of all werewolves. Just a small confrontation, after a long road that she had already followed, was nothing. "And do you know what it implies?" asked Yvonne again, with a small smile on her face. "Can you please get to the point of why you stopped me from leaving?" Celia said, sighing. She did not want to seem rude, but she was a straightforward person. Talking in a roundabout way was not her cup of tea. "I will, Miss Alpha. I just wanted to make sure you knew of it, because I wanted to invite you to hold the battle royale together with me tonight," confidently said Yvonne, folding her arms in front of her chest. She looked as though she was offering Celia an opportunity to make Yvonne herself shine. Studying history and general knowledge at the academy, Celia knew of the battle, but she did not understand why Yvonne wanted to select her as an opponent. The battle royale was a fight in which enthusiasm. At the end of each year, a single werewolf could challenge the king for his throne. But as the gap in ranking got wider, the battle was deemed futile. The difference of the first rank of the king was about 1 times greater than the second rank, which werewolf alone would want to battle away their lives to obtain the throne. When 100 or more werewolves were necessary to defeat the king, but as it was a tradition, it slowly transformed and gained another purpose. Nowadays, the battle royale could be held at the desire of 2 werewolves, and the winner of the fight could be granted a wish from the king. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." There were certain conditions to ensure fairness. The first condition was that the opponents must hold the same ranking, but they could still have different sub-rankings. The second condition was that there were limits to what their wish could be. They could not ask the king to punish or kill someone, or grant them official titles. It meant that the wish had to be a reasonable one. The third condition was that the wish should be the same for both opponents. The wish would remain the same, so they had to agree on it beforehand. And the fourth condition was that it could not be a fight to the death. If the opponent that was about to lose surrendered, the winner would hold back and the fight would stop. "I am sorry, but I am not interested," Celia replied calmly. She did not want to make a show of herself or ask something from the king. Why should she comply with Yvonne? "Well, I wanted to ask you of your own volition, but it seems that you think you have the upper hand on me, so you do not want to lose your advantage. Where even if you don't want to participate, you still will," Yvonne said confidently with a smirk. "I doubt you could make me," Celia stated unbothered and wanted to walk away. She was tired of such people like Yvonne and her sister, so she did not even want to think of what advantage he was referring to. "Well, I can and will," Do you know? You may think you are a part of your little academy pack, but in fact technically you are still also a part of your previous pack until you graduate. So if your Luna orders you to take part in the fight in her stead, you have to. And what a coincidence, she already agreed for you to take part. Yvonne explained, laughing. Celia did not respond, but her emotions were fluctuating, slowly getting angry. Her chocolate brown eyes started to change their color, slightly darkening. Really first her family, now even a woman from who knows where, thought she could use her how she wanted. Chapter 32. She is mine. Celia was not one to give in to provocations. Far from it. Even when nasty rumors about her spread in the academy, she minded her own business. She was accustomed, and from years of living in her pack, with people having wrong assumptions, so she never fought back. She never bothered to do so. But now this woman, who she did not remember wronged in, was not only provoking her, she was even killing with her sister to ridicule her. She knew for certain that her sister wanted to harm her, because she was forced to participate in the battle at the order of the Luna. But her sister was not obligated to nominate someone else to participate in her stead. Brianna could have simply refused the battle royale and that would have been the end of it. So from her sister's side it was intentional. But she could not understand what Yvonne had against her. What could have been the problem, when they had not discussed at all after the initial greeting? Either way, she considered it would be better just go through the battle and be done with it. There was no point in further. She also could not make a ruckus, even if she wanted to, as she did not want to embarrass His Highness. She was his partner for this evening, and most likely the two had already prepared and informed the officials of the battle, so it could not be retracted. Later, she will rescind her previous pack, so another situation like this would not occur. This was her oversight, her fault for not cutting the ties clearly, whether it was with Ray, Anne, or her pack. Looking a bit more scrutinizing at Yvonne, she could tell from her appearance that she was quite a high-ranking werewolf. But the aura Yvonne was releasing did not scare her. It was only tingling, like someone was tickling her. For as long as she could remember, she never felt frightened by another werewolf, never felt the need to submit to anyone. She only showed her neck in submission when her parents did at pack meetings. Even towards the council members, she did not submit. The only werewolf she was not certain of was His Highness. He never released his aura directed towards her, and so she wasn't sure. All right, Miss Yvonne, let's hold the battle royale. I assume you and my dear sister already picked the wish. When do you want to battle? Celia asked, resigned to the situation, but still retaining anger in her voice. How about now? In the ballroom they are already clearing the center of the dance floor. We also have some more comfortable clothes prepared in the bathroom, Yvonne said, smiling, satisfied with the results. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She had begun to be slightly wary of Celia, seeing her darkening eyes. It made the hair on the back of her neck stand up. She had hurried the timing of the battle to ensure that the king was not informed by someone who would participate. If Celia went back and told him, perhaps saying she was still injured, he would prevent them from battling, and she could not afford for that to happen. It was her moment to shine, stepping on Celia's body or corpse. If she had it her way, they really thought and planned everything thoroughly. Celia thought, when did they manage to find the time to plan such things? It was only a couple of hours since the beginning of the ball. Well, Yvonne did indeed the table multiple times. At first she had tried to participate in conversations, especially addressing His Highness, but gave up when her questions remained unanswered. And her sister was a social butterfly. She could discuss with anyone. A remarkable friendship had blossomed in this short time. Solars had begun to worry about Celia. It was already more than a quarter of an hour ago, when she left with her sister. His eyes started darting everywhere to check her current location, but he felt she was not in the ballroom. As her strawberry scent was beginning to lessen, he did not look for long, when a side smaller door of the ballroom was opened. Recognizing her specific scent, he looked in the direction of the door, but frowned when he noticed her changed clothes. She was wearing tights and a slim t-shirt, clothes meant for training. He was notified moments earlier that there were 2 werewolves that wished to hold the battle royale. It was even approved already by Emery. The cleared dance floor and her changed appearance gave him a bad feeling, which became certain when the other woman emerged with a similar appearance, following Celia inside. She dared to, Solos said, and a low growl rumbled his throat. Gabriel, who was seated on his right side, immediately heard him and followed his line of sight. At this point Solos was trying to rise on his feet. Stop it. Don't go. Gabriel stopped him quickly, using the mind link. She's still injured. Solos replied, angry, with Kai approving his words. She has already healed. And you are also forgetting her rank. She handled that many hunters on her own. Do you think she isn't able to handle a single werewolf? Gabriel reasoned with valid facts, but Solas still wanted to resist. Solas, she is a Watchers student. She is a born fighter. Have some faith in her. Gabriel used a reason which Solas could really not refute. Solas was still angry, but Gabriel was right. Her first strength wolf. Even if she did not show herself, her strength should still be far greater than that woman's wolf. He was also here. If the other woman made one wrong step, then he would just break her neck in a heartbeat. Both Celia and Yvonne went each one on the side of the dance floor, and in the center of the floor, an announcer stood. Can I have your attention, gentlemen and ladies? The announcer said with a loud, clear voice, and everyone looked towards him. They had guessed, when the maids had asked them to clear the dance floor, that a battle royale would follow. They were already talking and murmuring before about who would take part. Now they were looking with interest and, seeing the 2 women, everyone was even more curious. By this time Brianna had returned to her seat satisfied. Brianna, why did you go to the king's table? You were not allowed to do so, her mother asked anxiously, using the mind link. I did not go to the king's table. I went to see my sister. Now let's watch the fight, it should be interesting, Brianna said, then closed the link, not letting her mother nag at her. Now then, as you might have guessed when the dance cleared, we have a battle royale tonight. These 2 lovely ladies will be fighting for a wish from the king. I already have it written on this piece of paper, and you will find out what it says exactly after the fight, the announcer informed, also showing the folded paper. After a brief reminder of every rule the opponents must follow, the announcer retired on a side and said only one word. The 2 approached a little more the center of the floor, while still keeping a wary distance. By this time, the applauses, which had started after the announcer retreated, had died down. Would you like to attack first, Miss Celia? Yvonne said, complyingly, with the sweet voice she had used at the table. It was nothing like the voice she had used with Celia moments earlier. Celia stood as aloof as always. She did not even bother to reply. Her silence meant that Yvonne could do as she pleased. She wanted the fight, so she should be the one to lead it. Seeing her lack of emotions, that also implied that a fight with her was nothing. Yvonne grew angrier and she started to get impatient. She would show the young pup what the experience she had could do in a fight. How easy it was for her to defeat Celia, even though they held the same rank. With swift movement she was already on one side of Celia, and taking advantage of the weakness her lack of guard had opened, she rose 1 foot in the air, intending to strike her head. The force behind her move was so great that it should have gotten Celia on the floor, so great that she did not think of another move after. In fact, it was a deadly move, but the expected recoil that Yvonne should have felt did not come. It surprised her as her foot actually landed on the floor, cracking the marble tiles and making her lose her balance. Now was a perfect opportunity to be hit, and her heartbeat rose up, expecting just that. But, in the half a second she looked up, Celia was already on the other side of the dance floor. She was once again waiting. She did not take advantage of the failed strike to fight back. This made Yvonne angrier. It was like saying that Celia did not need any advantages, and could take her full strength face to face, even though just now she moved away, avoiding her first blow. With her claws already extended, She again moved near Celia, trying to scratch her face with her right hand and the other her abdomen. She did not use her feet again, as she realized that Celia was even faster than her. The time it took for her to strike was an unguarded moment. What if Celia decided to hit her, rather than retreat the next time, with both hands attacking? Yvonne was certain there was no chance for Celia to retreat, as she would have scratched her. Before she could, Yvonne's mouth smirked, as Celia grabbed the hand that was trying to scratch her face. Just as she thought, any woman would protect her face first. So, almost at the same time, she extended her other hand, but not to scratch Celia's abdomen. No, she was trying to use her claws as a dagger, to stab it. Her cruelness could clearly be seen, even by those watching, but she was left with no choice. At first she did indeed want to just scratch her, but the aura Celia was releasing and the strength with which she was holding her right hand scared her. Celia was almost on the point of literally tearing her wrist apart from her arm. She had heard from her grandfather that Celia killed many hunters on her own, that seeing the actual person in front of her when she came in the ballroom, she did not think she was capable of such a feat. She must have gotten hold of one of the hunters' weapons. That was how she managed to defeat them, she thought. But Celia now, without meaning to, was proving capable of truly ripping her hand away. Yvonne was the same rank as Celia. She should be almost equally matched, the only difference being her experience, which should have been the deciding factor. Celia let go of Yvonne's right hand, which was numb by now and could not be used, at least for a few seconds. Having both her hands empty, she grabbed the hand that was inches away from her abdomen. Her move was so fast that even the high-ranking werewolves in the room had trouble following. Solas was the only one who could actually see her perfect counterattack and thus did not move to intervene. She was proving to him her first rank. Yvonne was surprised, as this move was even faster than the first time. She did not have enough time to figure what Celia did, or the fact that she let go of her right hand. The only thing she felt was the force with which her body hit the nearby wall. She yelled in pain as she slid down, revealing the cracks the hit left on the wall. By this time she was truly terrified. She felt several bones in her body had broken, and the hand which Celia held, sending her to the wall, was even dislocated from her shoulder and her elbow. Her body started to heal itself the moment the wounds appeared, but she still felt the pain, and she would still be feeling it until her regeneration was completed. Celia walked towards her relaxed. Her body was not at all tired. She was not even wheezing because of the workout. Stopping a few steps away from Yvonne, Celia looked down at her. "Would you like to try again? Or is it enough?" There was no mocking in her voice. It was like she was asking a random question. But the wounded and disheveled Yvonne felt exactly just that. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." He filled her heart with hatred. How was the woman in front of her a third rank? Her blows were few in number, but each of them could not be stopped with a single hand. She had fought even men with the same rank as her and defeated them, but Celia had not even one little scratch. Not even one blow landed on her. Hearing her question, she was still thinking of fighting. Her regeneration was halfway done by now. She wanted to try other moves, because she had underestimated Celia and did not fight with her full strength from the beginning. "I advise you to stop here. The next time you try and attack, I will not only defend." Celia spoke again, when Yvonne stalled for time to complete her healing. Yvonne flinched at her words. It was true Celia had only defended. How would she be when she was attacking? She also started to tremble when Celia released an even greater pressure directed to her. Unbeknownst to her, Yvonne bowed her head, showing her neck in submission. "Well then, ladies and gentlemen, we have our winner." The announcer intervened, making the crowd clear their minds. Never a battle royale had ended so soon. Never an opponent showed that much difference in strength while holding the same rank. All the guests started clapping. "So then, Your Highness, please grant our winner her wish." The announcer continued. After the sound died down, Yvonne was already carried away by her grandfather at this point, with only Celia remaining in the middle of the dance floor, near the announcer. Solas nodded and waited for the announcer to unfold the paper and read its contents. "Our winner wishes a date with His Highness." The announcer spoke loudly. He had raised his volume not only because he wanted to be heard by all, but he was surprised as well. Solas flinched a little, but it wasn't appetible, as did Celia. What kind of a wish was this? Would His Highness think that she had fought just for a date with him? Celia thought, "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." Solas almost immediately permitted, earning the gasps of all in the room. A date with the king of all werewolves was something no one had expected, for the wish to be, and even less for the king to agree to it. The swiftness of his reply satisfied the councilman, who had his mouth in a smile from ear to ear. Gabriel did not say a thing, but he was chuckling. Even Maria was slightly smiling. Celia blushed red, because he had agreed so quickly. She thought the king would only agree with reasonable wishes. Would a date be a reasonable wish? Then I declare the battle royale finished. May your highness and Miss Blair have a wonderful date, the announcer said, smiling, and then retreated. Celia also immediately darted towards the bathroom to change her clothes, not wanting to be the center of attention anymore. "Your highness," I object. Brianna's voice resonated in the ballroom, just as Celia left. "Celia has participated in the battle royale for me. Her Luna. I am the winner of the date," Brianna confidently informed. Her mother and father were silently trying to make her sit down, but the latter ignored them. "Did you fight yourself?" Solas addressed Brianna for the first time, but even now he was not looking at her. "No, but Celia fought in my stead." She tried to reason. "The winner is the person who fought, no one else." Solas affirmed expressionlessly and rose on his feet. Brianna still wanted to reason with him, but Solas walked towards the door Celia had exited from, not looking back. Celia was briskly walking towards the bathroom to retrieve her clothes. She had one hand on her face, shielding the redness. Perhaps she should have just suffered a blow and then surrendered. But then Yvonne would go on a date with him. She would hate that. Wait, why was it her problem? A date with the king. A date with the king. These were the thoughts roaming her mind. She was so immersed in thinking that she did not even notice the person in front of her. She did not see Ray and blocking the door of the women's bathroom, only a few steps away from reaching him. Did she finally regain her senses and recognized him? "Celia, we have to talk. I gave you enough time already. You must return to the pack and assume your rightful place," he said decisively. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." "Please move away from the door. I need to change my clothes," Celia said, not bothering with him. This was already the third person this night who seemed to have an issue to discuss with her. Why was she so unlucky today? "But we need to talk. I miss you. I missed my mate." Ryan raised his voice, getting more aggrieved by the second. His mate did not react in the slightest to his presence. He could not find a shred of longing in her expression. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." "If you missed your mate, she's in the ballroom. My heavily pregnant sister is waiting for you at your pack's designated table," Celia calmly replied. No emotions in her voice. "But I love you, Celia. Please, we can wait for Brianna to give birth and we can raise the pup together." Ray pleaded, but his voice kept getting louder. "I am the baby's aunt. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." "Not his mother. I cannot raise the pup, nor do I wish to. You have already made your choice. Live with it." She concisely denied and wanted to leave, but then realizing that this was as perfect a moment as it could be, as she could avoid seeing her parents in private, she continued, "I, Celia Blair, Alpha of the Red Blood Moon Pack, reject you, Ray and Eamon, Alpha of the New Moon Pack, as my mate." Celia formally informed him, feeling the bond breaking, made Rayan lose his breath, and his heart felt like it was pierced by countless needles. He looked toward her surprised, as he did not expect her to reject him at this moment. He thought that she would also feel wretched like him, but she was still looking fine and calm. Celia did not feel anything when she said those words, although she also thought she would feel a little bit hurt. "Why are you all right?" he asked with heavy breathing and a hand on his chest. "Why are you not suffering as I am?" He asked again, when she did not show the smallest of emotions. "How could you do this to me? Why is it because of the king?" Rayan asked, almost yelling, and did not wait for her to answer, because only when he said the last two words did her eyes waver. Only then she showed a little emotion, but it was not directed to him. Angry, his eyes darkened and his claws extended. He was going to hurt her. He wanted for her to be at least physically hurt because of him. As he was incapable of hurting her emotionally, he jumped towards her with his clawed hand, attempting to harm her. But he was stopped. He did not even get near her, when a shadow stepped in front of her. Solaz's rage and alpha aura could be felt even in the ballroom. His deadly aura was leaking everywhere, making those present at the ball hold their breath and bow in submission, even though they were not present in the same room as him. His normal blue eyes were now as black as night, and his fangs protruded his mouth. "She is mine. Do not put your dirty paws on her again, if you do not want to die." Through his protruding canines, strengthening his hold on Rayan's neck with his clawed hand. Rayan was at this moment held by the neck in the air, not touching even with his toes the floor. Chapter 33. Real feeling. Celia's heart trembled at his intervention. He called her his. She was so startled by his words that her face became as red as a strawberry and her feet turned to jelly. He affected her so much that she did not even realize what Solis was currently doing. Rayan was rapidly losing his breath. The hold on his neck was so powerful that barely any air passed through his throat and into his lungs. He was gasping for air while also trembling, because of the suffocating aura. He was moments away from passing out and even dying. Fortunately, Celia recovered from the startle and reacted before it was too late. "Your Highness, please let him go," she pleaded, going over to Solaz's side. But Solaz was too immersed in his rage to see her. "Your Highness, please let go," she pleaded, again louder. But he still did not react. Thinking of what to do, she clenched her jaws and steadied her heart. Looking at his face that did not seem to notice her presence upset her. It made her sad that she was not reflected in those blue eyes that now were black as night. She raised her hand and gently put it on his arm, but she still did not manage to move him and make him look towards her. "Your Highness, please look at me," Celia said, and slowly raised her hand from his arm and cupped his cheek with her palm. Her warm touch comforted Solaz a bit, clearing his mind. It was the first time she had made such an intimate gesture towards him of her own volition. It made him release his hold on Rayan's neck, who, as soon as he was released, fell on the floor and started to take breaths to compensate for the previous lack of air. "Thank you," Celia found grateful. She knew that to rein in your wolf when it was agitated was difficult. More so for the king. But he did just that for her. "Are you happy I did not kill your mate, even though he was trying to hurt you?" Solaz asked, upset. He knew that Celia was rejecting her mate, but seeing her help the alpha did not sit well with him. He was barely holding on to his control. A sky was raging in his mind. Depending on Celia's answer, Solaz was likely to lose control again. "I do not want you to kill the father of my nephew. I do not want you to leave an innocent child without his father, no matter who that person is," Celia said quickly. She knew that Solaz was about to lose control again, and then she continued to talk, not even realizing what exactly she said next. "And I especially do not want you to be called a murderer. Because of me, I would not be able to bear it," she said with a trembling voice. Hearing her words, he was still reining in his wolf, but the last part felt like she was worried about him, so he finally took control properly. After a brief moment of silence, Solaz only asked her the following. "You were going to reject him?" Solaz inquired, calm, returning to his aloof self. "Yes." she replied, not understanding his meaning completely. Accept a rejection right now, Alpha, Solas ordered using his wolf voice. He was forcing the reluctant Rayanne to finish severing the bond. I accept, Rayanne confirmed through gritted teeth. He had barely finished healing and thus could not previously intervene, even if he wanted to. The finished formal rejection left Rayanne gasping for air. His heart felt like someone was breaking it with their bare hands and stealing half of it. The pain was so difficult to contain that his body fell on the floor. So it was true that there was something between the king and his mate. How dared she do this to him? Was the social standing more important than him? Her rightful mate. To be the lover of the king was more important than becoming his Luna. These were the thoughts his mind kept thinking of, before passing out. At this time Solas was looking at Celia's face. He was studying her expression, trying to find if there was even a hint of an emotion, but he could not see any. If a werewolf that had been cheated on decided to sever a bond, normally, he would not suffer. The goddess allowed the phantom pains for a cheated werewolf to make sure of one's fidelity. The stronger the pain, the more inconclusive a werewolf was cheated on. But when that werewolf would sever the sick bond, the goddess took back the pain. The innocent werewolf felt nothing. Nothing would hurt her or him physically, but mentally he would still suffer if she loved her or his partner. The fact that Celia was not suffering meant that she was not in love. Calming down Solas for good, ignoring Rayanne, Celia passed by him with Solas following behind. The situation had been an unexpected one, but she was happy to have the bond severed. She walked until the door and was about to enter the bathroom to change her clothes, when she turned around. Your Highness, Celia shyly asked. Yes, Solas immediately replied. This is the women's bathroom, she gently whispered. Solas looked around him and noticed that he was about to enter with her. His face froze and he immediately took a step back. I am sorry. Please go on ahead. He quickly apologized, and she seemed to notice a tinge of red on his ears. Hearing these words from him, she instantly turned around and entered the bathroom, then closed the door behind her. His face was too deadly to be seen up close. She quickly changed into her previous dress and finally had a minute to process what happened. Solas may have wanted to help her just now, but the words he used, why would he say she was his? She could not fathom his thoughts, but she felt it was for the best to leave the palace. The sooner the better, before something out of her control happened. Finishing changing her clothes, she exited the bathroom, but was surprised to find Solas still there. He had his hands crossed in front of his chest and his back was leaned on the wall. Thankfully, at least Rayanne was nowhere in sight. Seeing her in the doorway, Solas cleared his mind and quickly came to her side, taking hold of her arm. The warmth of his hand and the electrifying tingles she was feeling through her skin shivers through her heart. She wanted to say something, but there was no chance to, because as soon as he held her hand firmly, he started walking away. They walked a few steps, when she finally spoke. Your Highness, the ballroom is in the other direction, she exclaimed confused, noticing he was leading her away. It is all right. There is no need to stay longer, Solas reasoned. But your Highness's guests, they have not left yet. The maids said the ball would continue until after midnight. Do you not have to stay until then? We are leaving too quickly, she said, raising her voice, as she was at the same time trying to keep up with his large strides. It seemed as though he wanted to leave before someone noticed their prolonged absence. You are more important. I did not know of your past. I should have not brought you here, Solas stated apologetically, but still did not slow down his steps. Celia's heart warmed up at his words. She realized that Solas' son figured her entangled family's relationship. Her mate was her sister's lover. She was his Luna and she was also carrying his pup. But in spite of this, they did not show the slightest of remorse. They had all come together as a happy family, with even her parents approving of their relationship, seeing as they had all stayed at the same table without any hint of displeasure. The traitorous pair also had the audacity to still seek her. Her sister wanted to make further use of her and her mate, to ask her to raise his pup. In their eyes she was, as always, someone convenient to be used. Her eyes turned red thinking of this, but she was also grateful for his thoughtfulness, and at the same time afraid, so very afraid to hope for more than she deserved, to become greedy for something, someone who was not her own. She stopped her steps, not following his anymore, making Solas immediately stop when he felt he was about to tug her hand, and questioningly look at her. "What is the matter?" Solas asked, confused, as he saw her somewhat upset expression. "Can I talk with you a bit, Your Highness?" Celia asked slowly, not looking at him. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Let's go to the private quarters first and we can talk." Solas immediately replied. Was she still sad of all that happened tonight? Well, to go through such things must have taken its toll on her heart. Celia walked again, allowing him to still hold her hand. The drive on the way back was a quiet one. Neither once said a word until they arrived at his personal office. Reaching the door, he invited her inside. They sat in silence for the first few moments, each on a different couch. Although they were sitting face to face, she still did not dare look in his direction. Solas had felt her stiffness and did not talk. He was waiting for her to put her thoughts in order. On the way back, he had replayed the situation with the Alpha, and realized exactly what he had said at that time. So he did not want to rush her, but he still felt anxious because of what she wanted to say. He had called her his, even if it was in a moment of not holding control of his wolf. She must have realized his meaning. "Your Highness, I would like to return to the academy. Please give me your permission to do so." Celia requested the permission after some time. Solas looked towards her, inspecting her face. She seemed tormented of something, and he felt it was not because of her studies. She was rushing to get away from the palace, rushing to get away from him. Why? Solas asked her, as calm as he could be. "I am healed already, so I must return. I will fall behind the others if I don't restart my studies," she reasoned, stuttering. "Celia, you are a bright student. You would be able to quickly regain what you have missed. This is not the reason why you are trying to leave. Why do I get the feeling that you are trying to get away from me? Have I offended you in any way?" Solas asked. A frown was deeply settled between his brows. He was trying to figure her out, but he could not understand her emotions, so the best thing he thought of was to ask her frankly. "No, of course not, Your Highness." Celia immediately denied, but her heart was thumping loud. He had figured out she was trying to hide from him. "Then, what is it? Is it because I intervened earlier? He was trying to hurt you. How could I watch him do that? How could my heart bear for even a strand of your hair getting hurt?" Solas stated. He had laid his heart honestly and told her exactly what he thought. Again he had made her heart a mess. It had been so many times he had done it. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." She thought he was that way with everyone, but he only acted that way around her. The words he used around her, his way of speaking felt like she was someone special to him. With other people he acted more mechanically, less human. Celia stuttered again. Unlike her usual calm self, he had the ability to turn her stoic and expressionless personality into a stuttering fool, into a new person. Was it intentional on his part, or was he trying to toy with her? She was tired of questioning herself and him. "Your Highness, I really just want to return," she said resolutely. "Why do you?" Solas started to say, and for the first time in his life he was stopped by someone from speaking. Being the king, nobody was permitted to overstep him. "Your Highness, please don't care of my affairs from now on. Please just let me leave," she simply pleaded, feeling like someone who was defeated. She had even forgotten the royal protocols because of the chaos in her mind. "Why should I not care for your affairs?" he asked with a normal voice, but he was notably upset. "I have to handle my own problems. They are not worthy of your Highness's time. Even previously, I could have handled my problems by myself. Because of me, you even left the ball earlier than intended," she explained, worried. They are worthy if I say they are, he replied firmly. He was getting more and more sad and upset. Even Sky had become agitated. They were both feeling as though she kept them at bay from her life. Even from the issue of her mate. Could she still have feelings for that bastard, even though she rejected him? Your Highness, why do you care? She asked with her voice getting hoarse. She felt like there was a lump block in her throat. Do you really not know why? Have I hidden it so well that you do not know? He asked, trying to keep a calm voice. How can I know? She answered, stuttering. How could she not realize at least a little bit his reasons for treating her this way? She had denied it to herself. But deep down, no matter how clueless she was, she felt he treated her different from other women. Celia, you do know. Or have I not made my intentions clear enough? Should I say it in words? Solos asked one more time. He felt that if he did not speak truthfully with her tonight, she would avoid him in the future, and he would not be able to talk again privately and openly. Celia, I like you. I like you how a man likes a woman. Is this reason appropriate enough for me to care for your affairs? Solas continued, looking straight into her eyes. Celia was captured by his gaze, by his eyes that were telling her he was speaking the truth. He was breaking all the walls she had built around her heart. The walls she made to make sure nobody would hurt her again, like her family had. What if you have a mate somewhere? She voiced her reasonable worry. A perfect excuse to reject his feelings. I am 100 years old already and I still have not found a mate. Solos dispelled her reason with ease, not telling her the suspicions he held, as she was not aware he knew of the existence of her two wolves. Whenever she wanted to tell him herself, then he would speak of this. He was also sure of his feelings towards her, whether she was his mate or not. He felt he would not be able to feel for another woman what he felt for her if she also now had no other mate. What if your feelings are temporary? Her thoughts were turning jumbled by the second, as she was searching for her words, her heart thumping louder and louder. They are not. Would they be? Considering you are the first woman to move my heart in 100 years. Solas replied patiently, trying to clear her doubts. You are the king and I am a simple. She started to say, getting distressed by the second. He was replying too fast to her words, and thus she could barely keep up with finding other reasons. She had never thought the discussion would come to this, so even more so did not know what reasons to refute him with. The first female alpha of a pack of Watchers is not a simple werewolf. Solos denied firmly, not liking the fact she tried to say she was just a simple werewolf. What if the council or someone else opposes because I am not your rightful mate? She remembered the woman that the elder tried to match the king with. Her heart hurt thinking of that woman, but she could not let it show on her face. I am the king. I would never let anyone oppose. I would never let someone harm you. Once again he refuted, cursing in his mind at old man. He had been afraid that Celia would think of him as a frivolous person because of that woman. And now lo and behold, she really did think of this. Her tongue was tied and her mouth could not utter more words. What could she say more? He was sealing every reason she had given, and he probably would have sealed other reasons. If she thought of more. Do you have more reasons? Other than the reasons you mentioned so far? Asked Solas, seeing her not asking any more. On the outside he appeared quite confident in his words, but Celia would not know. Inside his inner self he was also very much desperate and perturbed as her. He was worried about the next word she would reason with. Are they not enough? She slowly and bitterly stated. I am asking you again. Are those all the reasons you have? He calmly stated, railing in any emotions leaking from his heart. Yes, she said, looking towards the floor. She could not think of more reasons, but she was still trying to find the words to deny a bond forming between them. Celia, you have given me many reasons for why it is impossible, but not one of those reasons is the fact that you do not like me in the way I like you. Solas had hoped she would not use this reason to deny him, and fortunately she indeed had not, because if she had, then he really could not force her any longer to accept him. Moreover, like this, the opposite was also true. If she did not think to say it, then it meant she did not think of it at all. It meant she was not refusing him because she hated him. Right. His words sealed her completely. She could not answer, because she indeed had said those were all her reasons for rejecting his advances, and this reason was not included. She tried to open her mouth, but she could not speak. She could not say that to him. She had been so firm in turning him down, but it was hard to say those words to Sonos. Even to her mate earlier it had been easy. It was so easy to firmly reject him, even severing the bond, but as easy as it was before. Now it was the complete opposite. It was so hard that she felt that to say she rejected him would rip her heart from her chest. At the start of the conversation, she was already agitated and her eyes were red. But now hearing him speak and trying to reject him, small teardrops filled her eyes, threatening to fall. When one finally fell, he was already close to her, caressing her cheek and wiping the tear away. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I've said that I like you, but do you know, it is not entirely true, he said gently, more like a whisper. She raised her brown chocolate eyes that were sparkling because of tears, questioningly, and looked in his eyes. Much like her own, his eyes were red. He was as honest as he could get and she could see it. So why did he say now that it was not entirely true? She did not need to question his words more as he already continued to speak. Celia, I do not like you. I love you. I love you as I have never loved before, and will not be able to love someone else for my entire life. Please do not question if my feelings would waver, and please do not offer me more reasons to why this would be impossible. I just want you to tell me how you feel. That's it. Nothing more, he said gently, but with a hoarse and determined voice. At this time, he had already approached her face even more, and had his forehead rested on her own, and she could see that truthfully speaking of his feelings had taken its toll on him, because when he said the last words, a single tear fell from Sola's ocean blue eyes. He was the king. He was one above millions of werewolves, the strongest and most powerful werewolf. Nobody had managed to equal him for the past 100 years. He had fought in countless wars and had stood solitary, safeguarding their entire race. His expression did not show much emotions. The passing of time had hardened him, but she could see loneliness and longing in his gaze. How could she be able to say she only regarded him as a king and nothing more? How could she be able to say she did not love him?